What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and another video. So I get a lot of questions from you guys. So I went through the last months of comments, specifically looking for just questions that I can try to answer for you guys. And a lot of the questions are very easy for me to answer. So how do I attach my canvas to my spinner? So I just take some painter's tape and loop it back on itself, stick it on the sides, and then I just stick it down on the foil. You will be able to spin this as much as you need to. It shouldn't go flying off the cake spinner. Another question I get is, what is this bucket I'm using? This is a water heater bucket that I got from Lowe's. And it works perfect. It was the large size one. So with that, we're going to get into this. Today is going to be a floating open cup pour. That was another question that I was asked. They were asking me to do a floating open cup instead of using the cookie cutters. So I'll try it, sure. I mean, I've done it before, but I'll do it for you guys. I don't mind. And another question was, can you use all metallics? So this is the colors we're using. We have a metallic black, silver, and this is cerulean blue that I mixed with a little bit of this Vallejo pearl medium to make it a metallic. Now, I haven't introduced any of this silicone to it yet, but it is coconut milk anti-breakage serum. And this is the silicone that I've used exclusively for years. And I'm gonna let you watch me put the drop in each cup, and I'm gonna let you watch me stir it. I normally don't do this on camera because it's really not that interesting, but so I like to take the stick and go side by side. I don't whip it, I guess is the word. Just pull it side to side. It'll incorporate whatever it is you're trying to mix, but it will also reduce the amount of bubbles. As you can see, there's not really any bubbles in it. And we'll just repeat the process. Sometimes I like to take and fold the paint over itself, and then we just go back and forth. Another question I was asked was, when you mix the silicone with the paint, do you mix it a lot or do you mix it a little bit? And that's a good question. I had that question too. So the more you mix it, the smaller the cells will be. Now, I did get some bubbles in that because I wasn't being very careful. And this one I mixed today, so there's probably going to be bubbles in it for sure. The silver and the black I had already pre-mixed in a little condiment cup. All right. So let me tap. Oh, okay, another thing. So all these little bubbles, I'm going to try to reduce the introduction of these into the paints. So I'll just take it and tap it on the table. And for the most part, that pops the majority bubbles. It also brings more to the surface. So we have that one stubborn one. And now we don't. Okay, all these colors are mixed, 2 parts pouring medium to 1 part paint. The pouring medium that I use is the Artist Loft pouring medium. I get that question often as well. Ratio is 2 parts pouring medium to 1 part paint. And you watched me add silicone to those colors, but this metallic black has no oil in it. And this is gonna be what is the base coat. Now, I normally don't like working with black just because I feel like it kind of overwhelms the colors. But I have faith today. So now, these being metallics, they're a little thicker than I normally use, but I still mix them to the same ratio because we still should be able to get something cool coming out of this. And I'm just gonna add little bits of black here and there. And then you're gonna see, as we fill this cup, the paint is gonna push underneath the lip and introduce itself to our base coat. And the more and more we progress, you're gonna start seeing bands of color coming out, and you'll be able to see them in the layers of the paint, which I think is super cool. So how's everybody doing today? If you could see my face right now, I am sweating profusely, but that is okay. Summer is here in Phoenix, and it is very, very warm. It's even warm in the home, which is, oh, I made a drip. Whoops, let me clean that off. There we go. That's okay, that drip will blend in. Little mistakes are okay. I am very detail-oriented and OCD, so you would think acrylic pouring would be very difficult for me to do just because of that, because you kind of have to surrender control when you do this art form. You can't get exactly what you want. It's not like a traditional brush and painting like landscapes and whatnot. So believe it or not, there is that silver and blue all throughout that whole thing. And it should show itself a lot better once we apply some heat to it. So that's going to warm up the oils and allow those oils to push up to the surface, and it drags those colors along with it. So we're getting towards the end. Oh, we almost had another drip. What is going on with this cup? Why are you not cooperating with me, cup? I really like seeing the little rings of color. Like you can see the rings going out in this ring. That just means there's going to be those bands there. But we're going to apply some heat to it now and see what we can get out of it. So when I was checking a lot of the comments, I was going through trying to pick out some questions, some frequently asked questions that you guys have. Do me a favor, help me out just a little bit. If you have your burning question, please put it in the comments of this video, because I really do. I want to address it with the community, and I want to make sure that you guys get the information that you want, because this art form is difficult enough without not knowing what you're doing. So if there's any way that I can make life easier for anyone, I would love to do that. All right, so these are the final two. Very, very thin layers, because I like to make my layers really thin as I'm finishing. And we're towards the center. The thinner you make the layers, the easier it is to create some really cool cell effects in the center. I typically swipe through the center to break up that outline as well. And now I'm going to apply a little bit of heat because I want to generate some cells prior to the stretch in the center. Not a whole lot, just enough heat to where it starts to let some of that rise, because we're going to do it again after the stretch. So right now I'm going to go and just apply a little bit of this metallic black around the edges, and it helps the paint flow. The corners are the hardest part to reach on a spinner. I did get another request from you guys to paint not on the spinner, but tilting traditionally. And I agree. That's a great thing, because it's one less tool that you guys would need, because you don't have to have a spinner to pour. You can tilt it like everybody else does. I've just become so accustomed to it that it's kind of second nature at this point. But I could definitely do that for you guys, because there are some helpful tips and tricks that come with that variation. Oh, my cats are going crazy outside. Oh no. This is actually looking really nice. I did not have high hopes for this, only because it's all metallics, and normally for me, I've had experiences where they don't really play well together. All right, so we're gonna spin it, stretch it out. Prior to the spin though, try to identify where the weight of the paint is. So you can do that just by tilting it, and you can see most of the shift is coming here. So that's where the weight is. I like to have the weight kind of in the middle. That way when I spread, But you also want to kind of pay attention to the composition. Like, I really love this. I know I'm going to lose it. That's fine. But we can probably get something like this over here, because there's a lot of blue there too. There's this blue and blue, so I'm happy with it. All right. So I figured I'd give you guys like just a kind of a look into my creative process and decision making. One of the questions I do get too is, how do I decide my colors? And I'm going to be honest with you guys, sometimes I have a really hard time deciding what color I'm going to use or what colors. So I'll ask a friend, or I'll ask my wife or family member, and I'll typically go with the colors that I would never have chosen myself. Just because, like, I would have never picked those colors. And that gives me a good opportunity to see how those colors play with each other and interact. We've got a lot of cool little pomegranate looking cells, like tons of them. And I don't know if that's because it was the metallic. I guess it had to be, right? All right, so that was the heat gun. The heat gun is very slow, very controlled. This is another question that I'd get. Heat gun or torch? Honestly, it's whichever you prefer. Heat gun, like I was saying before, is a lot more slow, is a lot more controlled. You can kind of warm up sections that you want cells. Now with the torch, there's a lot less control. You sweep the flame over it and the cells are just going to come wherever they want to come, because you're applying so much heat so quickly. So if we apply heat, you can see it didn't do too much. There are some smaller cells that are just popping up right now. And the reason that the torch didn't do much to this is because the metallic pigments are very thick and it makes it more difficult. So if you're having a hard time getting cells, it might be because your paint mix is really thick, as in maple syrup thick might be a little bit too thick for certain techniques. Maple syrup thick, I hate using that analogy, but is really good for like straight pours and things you want defined lines. Okay, I'm blabbering now, but this thing looks sublime. I love this thing. I love the way the silver is just like boiling in all these little pockets of metallics. It's beautiful. But let me bring you guys down here and we're going to look at this. So I do have the flash on because I do want you to see the metallics. You can't really see them without the flash. So that's the black, actually. Kind of almost looks silver, but I bet you the silver did incorporate a little bit with the black too. Well, we got some really beautiful looking cells. Like, that's what I was saying when I mean like pomegranate looking cells. Like, it almost looks like a pomegranate. I love it though. This came out really cool.
If you want to watch another video just like this, click the screen right now and I'll see you there.